This is the Speaker's Scoop, a behind-the-scenes podcast with Washington House Speaker Lori Jinkins. Speaker Jinkins, what's on your mind this week?
Well, Jen, last week I think I talked a lot about kind of theoretically how the budget worked, and it was before our budget had actually been issued. And I think since the last podcast, both the Senate and the House budgets are out. We'll be moving our House operating budget off of the floor this coming Monday, and the transportation budget off of the floor on Wednesday. And then once we've done that, because the Senate versions of both of those will come over to us first, and then we'll move ours. And that's what actually kicks off negotiations for a final budget in either operating or transportation. So I'm thinking a lot about what those negotiations look like. Both budgets assume different amounts of taxation or revenue to support the final budget. Our House version is kind of a 50-50. We reduced costs in the budget by about $6.5 billion. But we're also presuming the need, at least in this next biennium, that we're coming up on, of a little bit over $5 billion. The Senate also made some presumptions on taxation and revenue, and so we'll have to negotiate on those things and what's in the budget. One of the things we also have to start thinking about is, in order to move our budgets off the floor of the House, I have to make sure there's 50 votes, 50 members who will support the budget, at least. There might be more than that, but at least in order to move it off the floor. But a final budget, when you're negotiating, you have to think about it in a different way. It takes what I call 50, 25, and 1. It takes 50 votes from the floor of the House, 25 votes from the floor of the Senate, and 1 vote from the governor. And so I also start thinking about, and we've definitely been in more conversations with the governor and with the Senate as we prepare for trying to get all of our work done by sine die, which is April 27th. It may seem like that's a month away, right? It's a little bit over a month away. That seems like all the time in the world to people. But when we start to look at all the steps that we have to go through in order to kind of come to agreement on all of these budgets, and then, required time for people to review the final budgets and all of this stuff, and to adopt bills that implement the budget, that 30 days gets eaten up really, really quickly. So we're going to have to be very, very focused and very engaged with each other. And so I'll probably spend the next month daily meeting with the Senate, meeting with the governor, maybe multiple times a day. Certainly the budget teams will all be meeting every single day for hours at a time to get to a final budget. And this is where we've been doing a lot of real work, but the even harder work starts now. So we're trying to rest up a little bit, but we're actually moving into that hard work of negotiating some sort of compromises that bring us to a final budget that represents the needs of the people of this state.
Washington House Speaker Lori Jinkins. We will catch up with you again next week.
Thanks, Jen.